Welcome back to Write, Write, or Write and our three-part series, 3 Acts of Revision: Read, Plan, and Rewrite. If you joined me for the last episode, you've already completed the first act, Read, and you've experienced your draft from a reader's perspective. You noticed what's working, what's unclear, and where your mind began wandering. Now it's time to take your observations and step into the second act, Plan. Whether you're working on a novel, a memoir, or another form of nonfiction, the second act of revision is the most intensive part of the process. This is where you analyze your impressions from Act 1 and turn them into a solid plan for moving forward. The same principles of this act apply, whether you're writing fiction or nonfiction, but the details you focus on will vary. With fiction and memoir, you'll pay attention to story form and characters. With nonfiction, you'll focus on your framework and support material. At this point, you still aren't tinkering with your words. You're digging deeper into your impressions and figuring out how to address them. To do that, let's take a look at the scope of the task ahead. It has 5 main steps: summarize, categorize, observe, prioritize, and envision. Let's walk through each of these steps. Step 1. Summarize your big picture impression. Before you review your notes, capture your lasting impressions, the echo of your reading experience. How did this draft feel as a whole? What stands out most for you? Jot down what you appreciated and what needs work. As you're thinking about all this and noticing flaws, here's a gentle reminder. Your project is a work in progress. That means it's still taking shape, so don't let a negative mindset get in your way. This is not the time for self-depreciating thoughts like, this is horrible, or I wasted my time. It's not the time to worry about what other people might think either. Right now, you're openly and honestly evaluating where your manuscript is now, so you can determine where you need to go next. You're not issuing judgment, you're establishing a game plan. Completing the first draft is a significant accomplishment, and it's just one step in a process that demands your full commitment. Anything that makes you uncomfortable is just a signal that something might need attention. So give yourself some grace and start probing your initial impressions with questions. If you're writing fiction or memoir, ask questions like, did the beginning hook you? Did you sense any loss of momentum along the way, especially in the middle? Did the ending deliver the payoff you wanted? Did your characters rub up against each other, causing tension and pushing your story forward? Were you still thinking about the characters after you closed the draft, or did they fade quickly? What other concerns caught your attention? For nonfiction, consider questions like, did the introduction make a compelling case for your topic and perspective? Did any chapters wander off track? Did chapters build logically? Did you establish a chapter framework that held throughout the entire manuscript? Were the arguments and evidence convincing? What else stood out to you? Regardless of what kind of manuscript you're writing, summarizing your impression should give you a good idea about where to focus your efforts. And then you're ready for step 2. Categorize your findings. This is where you start tagging specific concerns inside your manuscript. Open your notes and manuscript side by side. Then go scene by scene, chapter by chapter, and look for the moments that triggered your impressions. Where did your attention drift? Where did something feel confusing, rushed, flat, or unsatisfying? Reactions like these are clues to the work you need to do. So take those clues and label them, not to fix them just yet, just to identify what needs attention and where. If you're working with a computer, use the comment feature. If you're working with a printed copy, grab a pen and mark right on the page. And yes, if you're on your computer, you're going to be tempted to start fiddling with sentences. Resist. The 3 acts of revision are about tackling the bulky work first, structural patterns, the big picture stuff. Right now, you're just mapping the problem areas. To categorize your problems, be specific. Instead of writing something like, this is boring or this isn't working, ask yourself, what expectation isn't being met here? If you're working with fiction or memoir, keep these 5 categories in mind. Question whether they're working and flag areas that aren't. Number 1, theme. Does this moment reinforce, deepen, or complicate what the story is really about? Number 2, character motivation. Do I understand why the character is making this choice right now? Number 3, plot escalation. Is something getting harder? Are the stakes rising? Or is the story treading water? Number 4, momentum. Is the story moving forward? Is something changing, becoming more difficult for your main character? And number 5, payoff. Is the story delivering what it promised? If you're working with nonfiction, the categories shift a little bit. 1, the central idea. Does each section clearly connect back to the main theme? Number 2, audience and purpose. Is this serving the reader you wrote it for? Number 3, structure and progression. Is the information unfolding in a logical order? Number 4, support. Have I earned this claim? Am I asserting something without evidence, examples, or explanation? Number 5, reader takeaway. Will the reader know what to do, think, or understand after this section? If it's fuzzy, you know you have some work to do. Once you can see what kind of problems you have and where they cluster, you can zoom out for step 3 and observe the patterns in your manuscript. One isolated issue is just an issue, but when the same kinds of concerns keep coming up, it's usually a symptom of an underlying structural problem. So in this step, you're looking for places where you've flagged the same category multiple times. Skim your comments and margin notes and ask, what am I flagging most often? What shows up in more than one chapter or scene? What are the hot spots, the sections where several different flags all pile up one on top of the other? Then turn what you're noticing into simple pattern statements. Not things like this chapter is weak, but something more specific like, I keep losing momentum whenever I switch into backstory. My stakes are clear at the beginning, but they blur in the middle. Or I'm making claims, but I'm not consistently supporting them with examples. If a solution pops into your head, write it down. But don't demand solutions yet. Sometimes the best ideas show up after you've given your brain a little space to think about it. Right now, your goal is clarity about what isn't working. Once you can see the full shape of the problem, solutions tend to show up more naturally. That makes your plan for revision much easier to build. With step 4, prioritize the issues. After combing through all your notes and chapters, your head may be swimming with everything you need to address. That's normal, so take some time to breathe. When you're ready, create a master list of the issues you identified in steps 2 and 3. Then rank them in order of importance. Structural concerns come first, cosmetic concerns come later. Think of it like building a house. You lay the foundation before you paint the walls. If the structure is wobbly, decorating will not solve the problem. So, which issues affect the largest portion of your manuscript? They should rise to the top of your priority list. For fiction, this usually means solidifying character arcs, the central conflict, or major story beats before refining individual scenes or polishing dialogue. For nonfiction, it could mean clarifying your central idea, your audience focus, and overall structure before adjusting tone or sentence rhythm. Prioritizing is about sequence. Determine what must be repaired first so the rest of your revisions build on something solid. Once you have a priority list, it's time for step 5, envision your plan. This is where you start figuring out how to tackle the major issues. It's time for brainstorming and more note-taking. Once a few solutions appear, you'll want to organize them. So you could expand your prioritized list with detailed notes under each major item, or you might create a spreadsheet to map which chapters will change and how. Index cards and sticky notes are great to help test new scene or chapter arrangements or placements. If there's something you're still uncertain about, name it and keep moving forward. You can always come back to it later. Choose a planning method that works for your thinking style. The tool itself isn't important. What matters is that you create a plan to guide your revision. And remember, a plan is not a prison, it's a map. If you discover a better direction while revising, which often happens, just as it does in initial drafts, you can adjust. Envisioning your plan might take a few days or even a few weeks. If you feel stuck or overwhelmed, step away for a while. Distance often brings clarity. Your mind will continue working on the problem in the background, and solutions often surface when you least expect them. And remember, you are not failing if you can't solve problems right away. There is a lot to think about. You just need to know what needs fixing, and eventually the solutions will come. Self-doubt is normal. Every writer hits this stage and thinks, I don't know what to do, or what if I can't do it? Trust me, you can. Revision is not about talent, it's about patience and persistence. If your inner critic starts barking, come back to this truth. You've already done something most people never do. You finished a first draft. Now you're shaping it into something better. The plan stage is where you establish the scope of your revisions. Summarize your impressions, categorize your concerns, observe patterns, prioritize issues, and envision a plan. By the end of the second act of revision, you should have two things. Number one, a clear sense of the strengths and weaknesses of your draft, and number two, a plan. Whether your plan is in a list form, a spreadsheet, notes, or a set of index cards, it will guide you in our next episode and the third act of revision, rewrite. Until then, give yourself credit. You are doing the quiet, disciplined work that makes great writing possible. For more reflections on skill, storytelling, and writing with purpose, you can find me on Substack. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time.